We want to realize that we have to kind of get into perspective what's going on around you. There's things that are happening that should give you a clue on what's happening in the legal system run by the lawyers. Remember, legal is the law of the lawyers. It's not the law of God. But he allows them to operate as he allows Satan to operate for the moment, but only under the constraints of the parameters that he gives them. So God ultimately is controlling what's going on, but the consent of people who want to go in the wrong direction or obtain something that doesn't belong to them has a lot to do with this title fight that we've been talking about through the various videos. So we're going to talk about, right now there's lots of class actions going on. Lawyers are coming out of the woodwork saying, we're going to, get all that money from all those different class names, all those caste rated names. And even though they really don't have the ability to cede anything because they don't have authority in the legal world, we're going to allow them to be deceived into believing they actually can chase a carrot and get a reward and get actually monetary reward for being violated. Now remember, the lawyers are running it right up to the government legal services. So they're the clique, they work for the devil, they don't work for God. They're just allowed to work within their own arena. And so we have to be very, very concerned to realize that when they're offering you an ability to get at something, to get some kind of retribution, be concerned. So these class action lawsuits are happening, and there's lawyers. I'm not going to mention their names. It doesn't matter anyways. The key thing is they're sucking and parasiting more money into a game they know is not going to bring the solution. But they're able to parasite it as long as that parasiting game is allowed to exist by God. So in the meantime, they're going to suck it dry. They're going to take as much of that illusionary money you thought was yours, that you accumulated under legal title, and they're going to allow you to waste your time thinking you're going to go after them for things that they themselves operate, construe, set up, basically absolutely put into place to work against you, yet you think they're working for you. So they've taken all these monies and they're actually saying we're going to win this lawsuit. And I know someone who actually had gone all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada based on a lawsuit that was on, they were going to drive without a license. And it failed. Now that lawyer who took all the money, that took it all the way to the Supreme Court, knew it was going to lose. He absolutely knew it. But he said, look at this sucker who's going to pay me. So all I'm going to do is try to fight his cause that I know he's going to lose, but it doesn't matter because I have the ability to basically receive those monies so he can argue in a court of law, chasing a title in error that's not his. Now, when we're looking at this, I'm bringing you into a full understanding that the situation about all these class lawsuits against the state for about to do the job or make you have the job has already been settled. They know this. These fraudsters, these legal mobster fraudsters already know that you're going to lose and they're going to win. And they're determined to go down like Satan in suicide. They'll even take the jab. These lawyers are even promoting that it's a good thing because they're mesmerized based on their own poison. So they'll even take the poison to sell you the poison. So there's a case that you'll find called Jacobson versus Massachusetts. If I could only tell you why this is the court case, the code that's in this, it's another video in itself. But all the legal birth registration system started in Massachusetts, in the United States, where all the witchcraft started, where they burned the witches, Salem, Massachusetts. And you think the lawyers weren't behind the burning of those people? Okay, so Jacobson Jacob's son, of all things, the 12 tribes of Israel, where all Jacob's sons came from, is the court case we're dealing with by chance on this. Dealing with the mass, the mob, the crazies. There's the mass. There's the Roman Catholic Church right involved in there, running the Massachusetts. I almost think I've woke up in a really bad movie. So if you think I'm not there with you on this, yeah, you're sadly mistaken. I'm there with you on the entire journey. Everything I put up here is public. So every single viewing of this has said where I stand on this. Setting an illegal notice is almost to an extent kind of like over the top for me because I've already done it. Me just saying what I'm saying is actually giving public notice of my position. So Jacob's son versus Massachusetts, the mass of the crazies, was a case that was involved in someone who thought they could fight back in 1902 over not receiving the jab over smallpox. When the case was filed, there's a very interesting thing how it was filed. Now, we don't file things like this now for some reason. But in 1902, the case law, they filed it under Henning Jacobson, plaintiff, in error versus Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Do you wonder why they actually had Henning Jacobson, plaintiff, in error? Well, because Henning, using the legal surname Jacobson, is in error because it's not his name. And he's filing against the ones who run, contrary to him, that run the club under that name, the control of that legal body corporate. So poor Henning, who was an actual religious leader at the time, believed that he could actually have his own independent, individual spiritual beliefs to say he doesn't want that in his body. He didn't want the jab. And he was basically saying that they were working against what his natural rights were. But he's in an unnatural club with unnatural legal title. And so that would be in error. One of the previous videos we had done, I can't tell you where it is. You have to look back. I'm not an encyclopedia, but I can definitely spill out what I've said. I quoted from the UN handbook on birth registration, which already stated that anything that's underlined on a birth record, which we already talked about, in Ontario at least, under the statement of birth record the parents filled out, anything that was underlined is a supposition or an error. Peter, in the Bible, talked about those who live in error. Choose, consent to live in error. Then it mentioned also that you will be made merchandise by feigned words. Feigned means fictio, in the Black's 10th, right beside fictio, an assigned title that's placed on you for jurisdictional control. I hope the warning's going out on this. I can only go so much and so far, and I'm doing my best to explain it. But he was actually operating a case in error because he's living in error. Remove the given name out. It's just its own error. Let the parties who are involved in the error pay for their own scene. But the background of the case was he lost. And the basis of the case was he had no absolute rights in a collective society. No absolute rights. You know how many people tell me? I have a very close friend. He believes the charter is going to protect him. And I keep on telling him, that's a bad charter. Don't be on that ship. That has nothing to do with God's heavenly citizenship. It's dealing with a man-made manufactured ship of make-believe of Satan. And therefore, these imaginations ship concepts are going to fail, and they're doomed to fail. So you got to be concerned which charter you're on. Are you on the Bible, which is the Christian's charter? Or are you in a make-believe charter with conditional rights? It's conditional upon you doing as you're told. You cannot have spiritual mixed in with artificial. You cannot have truth with fiction. Where the confusion in the title. You got to remove your problem in the confusion. But this case law tells you what's coming. They have the ability to enforce all legal members that are using their legal body corporate title to do as they're told. It's a slow thing. They don't do it right away. Snakes usually crawl up through the hidden grass and then bite you in the ankles. They're generally not on a mowed lawn coming across at you so you can see them coming. So this has been a very, very slow but very well thought of strategy and setup to do this. So the legal surname persona is not your body. When you start to believe it's your body, well, then they can tell your body, which is not your body, what to do. And that's why they're able to have that authority. That's why the officers, when they come out and they have their clubs, they'll club you because you're not following the club rules, because you're a member of their legal club. The only thing that makes you a member of their legal club is the consent of your given name in there. You pull that out and you walk by that and you only give them their own club, they'd have to club themselves because they don't have any consent anymore. And there's not a single lawyer watching these videos that's not having a bad day right now. I hope I'm making him not sleep at night right now. I hope I'm taking away his restful thinking position of superiority. He's on a doomsday clock. He's going down with his own evil legal ship that's run by Satan. This is absolutely prophetic. It's going to happen. But all these videos, all we're doing is sharing segments and small pieces, and you're going to have to build faith like a muscle, but it's been not exercised. This muscle has a lot of atrophy right now. It needs to be exercised because truth has been sitting off to the wayside while evil and legal has been taking over. And so unfortunately, your apathy has taken the position to allow evil to do what it's doing. And this is all about free will of God. God gave you a free will. It costs you nothing. Walk into the world of the lawyers. It'll cost you because they accost you with that false title name. And then they get you to energize it. Let it be what it is, but do not energize it. I hope that you'll be able to do your research on this subject matter, because this is probably one of the most important videos that's been uploaded. And it was done here on a very quiet Sunday. We actually did this video earlier, and because I used that word I can't use, YouTube would have taken it right off in seconds. So I've used words in this. You'll have to check out the case law, but you'll see the word that I was, basically not able to use in this video, which should tell you about a terrible legal satanic dictatorship that can control its own rules based on what comes out of your mouth under jurisdiction.